All right. Hi again, everyone. And this will be our concluding session of the fourth day of the Blockchain Community Day Conference. And yeah, to remind everyone that we'll be having one more day ahead tomorrow, same time, here live with another bunch of speakers, 5 sessions. And this time, I am very glad to invite our today's guest, Vaibhavv Ali. Uh, I can see you on the screen. Hi, Vaibhav. How are you?
Good. This is, I think, in the longest time I'm using StreamYard to be interviewed or to to present something. I've been going live every single day, at times even twice a day. I some time ago just finished a very interesting session with the co-founder of Sandbox, Sebastian, with his new product launch, and here I am on the opposite side of uh, the StreamYard and a lot of new settings that I see because generally I'm the host and my settings are pretty different than what I see here today.
Yeah, from point, we really like this kind of speakers who are very familiar with the interface, with how it works. You already uploaded the presentation in advance, and yeah, that's very enjoyable to work with you. And yeah, just to remind everyone that we already hosted Vibhav's presentation last year, so this will be the second year in a row for Vibe to present at the Blockchain Community Day conference. And yeah, without further ado, I'd like to just to ask you to say a couple of words about yourself, about your background, and after that, we'll be good to start the presentation.
Great. So everybody who's watching us or perhaps will watch this later on, my name is Vaibhavv Ali. I come from this city called Bangalore, which is the IT hub of India and the Silicon Valley of India. But hey, don't assume that
You'll
I
need to unlock your
don't know why my notification got
It's
activated.
fine.
Siri, go back to sleep. I don't need you here. But let me tell you this: that though I come from the Silicon Valley of India, uh, I don't know anything about coding. I am not, or rather, I wasn't a technical person, right? Over a period of time, with the people who I worked, with the people who I dealt, and thanks to the new age of I think I am able to get some stuff done with a bit of coding using Gemini and Codex and all of that. About in 2021, I got into Web3. If you know this guy called Mario Nofal, uh, I was his team number one when we set up the Twitter Spaces that perhaps you guys hear today on Twitter. I was his team number one uh, to kind of set this up and to take it to this maximum level where it is today. Done done a lot of things in this space that I can't even remember, but. I think the beauty is of this industry is that every month feels like a year, and every year feels like a decade. The way we are moving ahead, and especially in this day and age where you know the language of money is changing, and even the form of money is changing. So when we go live at Aura 8 every day, we talk about the future of money because my objective is to help prepare that kid perhaps who is 17, 18, 19 in Kazakhstan, in India, in Egypt, who has no idea what is going to hit him or hit her the moment they pass out their education, because believe it or not, modern education is not preparing us for what is coming ahead. Schooling is outdated. Conversations at our home is outdated. Uh, the patterns of ours is outdated. What we do on a general basis, like majority of the world, what they do on a general basis, it's outdated. Uh, but I'm glad that we're talking about TradFi and DeFi because TradFi has been there for at least for like in its true form for more than half a century, and DeFi is the new way of giving people access to liquidity because whatever you do in life, you need to have liquidity. Now, how much? It's all a matter of question as per your ability, your capability, and the people that you surround yourself with, and the ideas you were talking to them about. uh, so I don't know which part of the world you're watching this from, but since I'm in Dubai, it's about 5 p.m. in the evening. So very good evening to everyone. Thank you for joining the session. From the past several years, the conversation around blockchain and digital assets has been really loud, volatile, and often focused on retail speculation. Excuse me. you
Bless
know
you.
let, let me tell you this, that people who follow the retail speculators are the guys who are the lowest in the barrier of understanding what is happening, because the real trend is actually understood by the VCs. And quick plug-in, tonight we are also doing something with the VCs. We are doing with Toby and Brent from TBV and Joyce from uh, Bit Angels. The idea is to find out, what has been happening. But, behind the scenes, a much quieter and far more consequential shift has been taking place. Today, we are going to be talking about the theory, and we are not even talking about pilots, right? We're talking about what is actually happening, a practical roadmap. We are in the first half of 2026 is almost over. We will explore exactly how decentralization protocols are converging with traditional finance, because crypto is gone mainstream now. We have had guys like BlackRock, Vanguard, you know, starting off with ETFs and RWA. That clearly brings blockchain. I don't. I think I won't say crypto coming to the mainstream. I would say Bitcoin coming to the mainstream. I would say RWA coming to the mainstream, because fractional ownership is magical, right? So with the traditional finance, that and how institutions are integrating these technologies into a live balance sheet while maintaining a strict compliance, because back in the day when crypto was the wild wild west, we all were, even me, we were anti compliance. We are like, please don't tell us what to do, let us do whatever we want to. But we need to understand this, that compliance comes into play not because they want us to not be able to grow or not be able for us to do interesting stuff, but the compliance comes into play because they want to, or the government wants to, save the retail investors money, by which I mean that maybe your uncle, your auntie, who perhaps don't know in detail what they're doing, but they heard it's a great opportunity to invest because everybody wants maximum returns possible. When you have compliance in place, it at least gives some backing to the idea that they have, and the way things are going. So if you actually look today in 2026, we have reached a critical exploration. Let me move to the next slide. uh, yeah, so if you look where we have reached today, we have reached a very critical point of inflection. We have moved past the tourist phase of blockchain exploration, right? Oh yeah, we can do this in blockchain, we can do that in blockchain. But I think those days are gone. Now blockchain has been used for very serious stuff. I think the stress testing of blockchain is over. Where, what we are seeing now is the deployment of production grade infrastructure, the plumbing that we talk about. The technology is finally boring enough. You know why I say boring? Because uh, institutions don't want adventure. They want boring. Boring is good. They want safe enough. And most importantly, they want it to be scalable enough to act as the backbone of the global liquidity. The question for institutions is no longer should we use a blockchain, but rather how quickly can we migrate our legacy ledgers before we are priced out with a more efficient competitor. So, 2026 is the year where everything is scaling. But there are three primary drivers. Let me take you through the three primary drivers. Regulations, right? Now, what happens with regulations is that now let's talk about a framework like MiCA, which is the European framework. Now the 2.0 has been fully implemented, and the recent US Clarity Act, the chief risk officers have finally the certainty that they need to approve balance sheet allocation. Second is the network maturity. We aren't trying to, jam the institutional volume through a congested layer one anymore. With the delay, or how many TPS per second. Institutional layers, or L2s, like Base, Avalanche, Evergreen, are giving us sub-second finality we need. Because when you're dealing with millions of transactions every day, every second counts. That's what we need. The third one, and I feel the most important one, is the interoperability. We are no longer building walled gardens. That is what decentralization has done. And that is what even open source did back in the day, in the Web 2 era. There are no walled gardens. Protocols like CCIP, Accelera allows us to move assets fluidly between private bank ledgers and public liquidity pools. To understand how we got here, we have to actually look at the catalyst. Because, how did we actually get ourselves here? To understand how we got here, uh, the Project Guardian, led by Monetary Authority of Singapore. Now, remember this. This wasn't a sandbox experimentation. It was the first time that a tier one bank deliberately integrated native DeFi mechanism, like automated market makers from Aave into the regulated workflow, who perhaps earlier had the money but no legal standing. Instead of relying on correspondent banks and waiting for T plus two for settlement on a FX trade to settle, banks tested atomic instant settlement using deposit token. Guardians Guardian proved that you could have the efficiency of DeFi without sacrificing the identity and compliance control required by TradFi. Because, privacy and uh, the entire idea of compliance is supremely important. And that concept is something that will change the way we move. Now, coming to the juice of the thing, right? Which brings us to the prime example of this working in production. Kinesis by JP Morgan. Many of us may remember Onyx. Onyx was like the first ever private blockchain layer that JP Morgan created. Now, Kinesis is the evolution of that, moving from a center of excellence into the primary digital payment rail. The majority of milestones that we are looking in 2026 is the deployment of JPM coin, or JPMD, onto the layer 2 like base. This means that JP Morgan's internals permissioned institutional capital can be seamlessly interact and provide liquidity into external markets with a highly controlled manner. Please pay attention to the word highly controlled manner. The scale is crazy. Now, let's just put this into perspective. $3 trillion is the cumulative value processed through these programmable ledgers till date. Now, this is already done. It's not that, we'll think about it, we'll consider about it. No, it has already been done. As the quote here states, we are past our exploration. We are now in billions of dollars in volume on chain. And by the way, if we didn't have the big boys coming in like JP Morgan, we would have still be doing a few $100,000 per day and wouldn't have reached this number. So bringing in institutions is actually very good. And it's no longer about the innovation. It's no longer about a project. It's a critical financial infrastructure. Let's move to the aha moment. Aha. Oh, could this be it? This brings me to the this moment for the entire movement. From years, people thought tokenization was just about taking an asset like a bond and making it into a digital wrapper. But that's not the magic. The magic in programmable settlement is traditional finance. Moving money involves a series of disconnected ledgers, messaging systems like Swift that we all use, and manual reconciliation. It's why settlement takes T plus 2. On chain, the assets is the payment, where, when a trade executes via a smart contract, the delivery of the assets and the payment happens simultaneously. The friction disappears. Capital isn't trapped in the transit. The T plus 2 days. Hey, did you receive the money? No, I have to wait for T plus 2 settlement, right? Uh, this unlocks incredible capital efficiency. Let's, you know, also talk about something that is supremely important in this space. That is, how do we actually integrate this into an existing balance sheet? There are three main entry points we are seeing here today. Asset issuance. Tokenizing cash equivalents like US Treasury, bonds, these give clients yield bearing assets that they can instantly be pledged via collateral 24 bar 7, right? That's why crypto works 24 bar 7. And glad it is already set a standard. The liquidity pool, institutions are building private AMMAs instead of leaving millions in dominant Nostro or Vostro accounts globally in the banks. These pools can access liquidity and let smart contracts handle the FX routing instantly. Intraday repo, this is huge. Instead of overnight repo, institutions can lend and borrow for specific hours or minutes using smart contract, reclaiming ideal capital and maximizing one golden word, the yield. The next one is the compliance guardrails. Compliance, as I said earlier, is the most important thing. You can have a great idea if you don't test it by compliance. What you're doing is illegal. Of course, none of this matters if it isn't compliant. The traditional world demands strict KYC and AML standards. Now, banks and institutions around the world have been constantly been hit by KYC and AML fraud. They have to pay $2 billion as a fine and get it done. Don't forget, CZ was also sent behind the bars because of this particular reason, which historically clashed with the permissionless DeFi, right? Remember the promise of decentralized and permissionless that was sold to us. But then here we are thinking, hey, why KYC? The bridge here relies on verifiable credentials, VCs. An institution can verify a client's identity and issue them a cryptographically signed token. The client can then use this token to access a screened liquidity. Excuse me. I was saying then a client can actually access this to a screened liquidity pool on chain. Using zero knowledge proof, these smart contracts verify that the user is compliant without ever exposing their underlying private data. This is the perfect marriage of privacy and compliance. So all the data leak that you hear about, and been hearing about it, maybe, just maybe, this can put a stop to it. Let's talk about the RWA. When RWA was kind of catching up, I speak at events around the world, and I've always said that, hey, RWA will actually bring crypto mainstream, and which it did, because this is now given a way for your family, your mom and dad, your grandmother to actually take blockchain seriously, to take RWA seriously, because the only asset that most of these people understand is either gold and real estate, right? So let's just talk about real estate because it's easier for them to understand. The market is responding aggressively to these trends. And as you can see from the trajectory of tokenized real world assets, we are looking at a projection crossing the 5.3 trillion mark by 2027. This is not native money, by the way, right? This is traditional institutional capital uh, being migrated on chain to capture yield and operate efficiently. So everything that you see is happening. There are countries going ahead and launching their own stables because they need stables to operate in the world of blockchain. Let's talk about what is coming up next. The the ish 2026, where we see full cross chain liquidity parity. We see assets move from the top five L2s in the way that we have never seen before. In 2027, the rise of hybrids and network, we will see live seamless interoperability between sovereign retail, CDBCs, and private banks deposit tokens. 2028 and beyond is the ultimate goal, the universal ledger, moving away from thousands of siloed database to a singular shared truth of global asset movement. And I think that's the beauty, right? Now, I just hope that I provided you enough clarity, enough attention to this. I know I was given 30 minutes. I think I've almost finished it in under 20 minutes. Uh, and the reason is because we don't really need to complicate things. We have to, especially when it comes to compliance, right? So I hope this has provided you a clear view on how tokenization and DeFi are maturing in the foundation of tomorrow's financial system. We are, uh, you know, I love the way we are moving ahead. If anybody has any questions, please let me know, and let's figure out how I can help you out in whatever little ways that I can. Thank you, Alik, for the time.
Mhm. Thank you so much, Vaibhavv, for such a great overview about RWAs and about the financial conditions and the DeFi conditions that we're having right now as of 2026. I have a couple of questions from myself, and I will need to also bring some questions from the platforms where we are streaming. So before we start going through the questions on the VR community platform and on YouTube, could you please tell me what is the current situation with RWA adoption, and what are the blockers that are preventing it from its acceleration?
I think RWA has already taken off, and in a way that we cannot imagine. I live in Dubai, and Dubai, I think, has already uh, tokenized 30 mi- I think three. I'm forgetting the number, but a massive number of tokenization already started. Nothing is blocking it. We are in full stream. Uh, Countries are paying attention to this because they know that this will give people an opportunity to own more assets. So we are already out and about and in the open.
Mhm. All right. And what are the blockers right now that we can ease? And I
See,
mean,
the
are
only
there
block
any?
the only blocker is the government choosing. See, the governments will have to move, right? I don't see any blockers compliance perspective. Governments will want it or not, but I think from a individual's perspective, I think this is an asset class that has been recognized. This is an asset class that is, absolutely loved and welcomed throughout the world. So no worries on that. I don't
Mhm.
see any major blockers.
Mhm. All right. I hope we'll see more news about it in the future, in the nearest future. And yeah, another question would be that in the very beginning, you told us that you are not a technical person, but still you are doing a lot using uh, AI in terms of coding and this kind of things. Do you have any use cases in terms of blockchain, in terms of blockchain solutions, RWA solutions, where that really helped?
No, I have not used vibe coding for any blockchain related or RWA related stuff. So I'm sorry to disappoint you on that question. What I've used it on is setting up AI, agentic AI across all platforms. And the way I think things are evolving and the way things are moving, clearly agentic AI is the future, and it'll bring in a lot more action in every single aspect of everyone's life.
Hmm. And I see a question on the We Are community platform. It says, do you expect Universal Ledger to be one chain or many chains with shared standards plus interoperability? Let me just quickly copy and paste that here in StreamYard so that we could just quickly see that on the screen. This one. Do you expect Universal Ledger to be one chain or many chains with shared standards plus interoperability?
So it doesn't matter because we have interoperability direction that we are moving ahead. uh, we can only see a universal ledger in terms of, see, because anything that you use, right, it all depends on the consensus of the people. So to answer your question directly, it doesn't matter if it is a universal ledger, because we have the shared standards of interoperability, which I think would possibly be the future.
Hmm. And the same person asks another question. I'm just copying that here. It sounds like, how do you see privacy handled when assets move between private bank ledgers and public liquidity pools?
How do you see uh, private handled when assets move between private bank ledgers and public liquidity pools? Okay. So, you know, sorry, is that privacy or is that, how do you see
Uh,
private?
yeah, can you see that on the screen? How do you see
Yeah, I can
privacy
see, but
handled?
that's
Yeah.
privacy handled. So I'm thinking that's okay. Let's actually first identify zero knowledge proofs, right? Now, when a user in an institution interacts with a public liquidity pool, their actual identity, name, legal entity, identifier, KYC status, never touches the public blockchain. But the institution conducts a traditional KYC, like an off-chain, and issues a verifiable credential to the client's digital wallet. Now, the public move here is when the client attempts to trade in public pool, the smart contract will request proof of compliance using a zero knowledge proof. The wallet mathematically proves to the public contract, I am verified by JP Morgan, I am Vaibhavv Ali, and I am not on any sanction list, without revealing exactly who they are. I'm sorry, without revealing my name, right? I will not reveal my name, but I would just say that I'm verified by so and so, and I'm not in any sanction list. Now, the public chain only records a cryptographic, like true keeping, the underlying identity entirely private. Permission pooled on public infrastructure, if I have to talk about that, which is the public liquidity pool question. Let me first slightly break it down how it works. These are smart contracts deployed by public network like Base or Ethereum, but they are not hard coded with compliance gate. The public benefit, even though the infrastructure is public, the smart contract will only execute a trade when a wallet that holds the correct verifiable credential. This creates a walled garden on a public chain, ensuring that an institution only trades with other verified, compliant counterparties, mitigating the risk of interaction with tainted funds. Remember, the biggest problem with crypto right now is tainted funds. You do not know from where the crypto is rooted, or sorry, routed. Now, let's talk about the transactional shield, uh, the protecting alpha. In traditional finance, revealing your trading volume on assets movement to public means giving away your uh, trading strategy or your alpha, so may you call, and inviting front runners. But here, how it works is that to prevent public blockchain explorer from mapping an institution's entire balance sheet, the actual movement of the assets utilizes transaction shielding. The technology that we used is privacy preversing layer 2 rollup or stealth addresses. The public ledger will verify that a valid transaction occurred and the total supply of tokens is correct or it's accurate. But the specific sender or the receiver of the transaction and the amount are are invisible to the public eye. So the bottom line, I would say, is the golden rule of convergence is data stays off chain, verification goes on chain. That's all. Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm. All right. And yeah, one more question, if I may. I remember you told about the trends that are usually captured by VCs much earlier. I mean, the VCs see that trends much earlier than others. And do you know if there are any signals that VCs look for? I mean, what kind of signals do VCs look for that retail usually misses?
I think retail misses everything, to be honest, right? Because we see the trend maybe a couple of years ago in in the past, and the way things move is at a speed of lightning. And like the only signal right now is like nobody's investing right now. So if you're building something, it's a very
Yeah.
difficult phase. There is no money being flown out. There is no investments happening because the valuation, and we're expecting for the market to go down even deeper. Every Friday, I actually go live with the crypto godfather, Michael Turpin. And when I go live with him, I we ask him questions about what happened in the previous week. But here, let me tell you something that uh, the investments will start once the market is bottomed. Because when the market is high, the valuation is high, the expectation is high, so on and so forth. But right now, the only objective is to get things at a low price. This is like a sale in the market that's happening. And stable coins is the new uh, flavor of the season, and it'll remain for a while. Thank you.
Hmm. All right, and I think this will be it for today. Thank you so much, Vaibhav, for the presentation, for bringing this interesting topic, and for such a great discussion. I really look forward to see you next year on our stage again and again. So whenever you have anything to share, our stage is always open. And yeah, this will be it. Thank you so
Thank you.
much
Thank you
again.
so much.
And this will be the conclusion of the fourth day of the Blockchain Community Conference. And tomorrow, same time, we will go live with another set of speakers. So please stay tuned, join tomorrow. And we will be having 5 more talks about ZK Sync, about EVMs, about developing your community on LinkedIn, your crypto communities, your Web3 communities. We'll be having people from Learn Near Club, and of course, some more talks about Layer 2 innovations. So thank you so much once again who watched this live, and very soon we will be publishing the cut version of each session separately on our YouTube channel. So the recordings will be, of course, available. This is it. Thank you so much again. Bye bye, everyone. See you tomorrow.